Hello and welcome to your Astro update for the week ahead. I'm Alicia Yusuf with all the details for the 12th until the 18th of October. This will be a video on the longer side because there is so much happening this week. It is one of the bigger weeks of the month and potentially one of the most challenging of the whole year. But before we go into that, we've got a lovely ethereal, dreamy feeling in the sky today with Jupiter in Capricorn sextiling Neptune in Pisces. And it just makes me think of imagining what's possible. I was reading an email yesterday from the CEO of one of my favourite Aboriginal Indigenous organisations, AIM Mentoring. And in it, he was talking about how the importance of imagination and our humanity, the importance of imagination in allowing us to connect, to create, and to unify. And there is this feeling with this, of this soft, gentle, flowing energy that helps bring the lubricant, I guess, the softness and the gentleness to the harsher aspects, the squares and the tension that's going on right now. It's almost this call to imagine a future that is possible beyond when all of this ends, beyond when 2020 comes to a close and whatever's in the future with this. But the tension and the stress and the worry and the anxiety are a phase that we're passing through, and there's more beyond it. So if there are any ideas, any insights, any visions that are coming to you today, maybe jot them down and put them somewhere prominent that you can hold on to as a guiding light in the weeks to come. Then tomorrow, these two planets have been dancing together since January 2019, and this is the last of the connection between the two of them until April 2022. So use the juice of these and help you know that as Jupiter's in Capricorn, it really helps us look at the tangible ways that we can make our dreams come true and bring a reality. It's just having the patience and the tenacity to be able to build it from the ground up and take our time and do it organically. Then early tomorrow morning, so this is 2:38 a.m. on Tuesday morning here in Australia, so this will be Monday evening, afternoon for much of the world, we have got a sextile between Mercury and Venus. So Mercury in Scorpio has been digging, getting underneath, and there's this sense that, I don't know, I always love the connections between these two planets. It always reminds me of beautiful words like poetry or healing communications that can happen. And there's this sense that Venus in Virgo is bringing her practical perspective to all the intense digging that Mercury in Scorpio has been doing. So any insights that have been coming up, any painful understandings, Venus in Virgo is kind of like, okay, well, we know that. What's the reality of the situation? Have we skewed because of our trauma or because of our pain or our hurt into thinking things are way bigger than they are? Let's look at the details and how we can practically put things in place to help go forwards. Having a look at the house that Mercury is in right now in Scorpio will help you understand the themes. And what I really love about this is Venus is almost helping Mercury as he's stationing to go retrograde tomorrow. So the station's happening on later in the day here, so that'll be the 13th in Australia and for the rest of the world. And there is a sense that the uncomfortableness, especially of this first station, of the whole retrograde phase, I usually find it's this day that's the one where the most hiccups happen, the most curveballs get thrown, or the most issues happen. So this is your warning to back everything up, to have your plan B in place and prepare yourself for delays over the next few days. I would also say that knowing you will be revisiting or reviewing anything that's been going on for you in this area of your life over the last 2 or 3 weeks as Mercury backtracks across this territory. So, of course, Scorpio, of course, this is themes about emotions, intensity, what's buried underneath, where we need to face the truth of things. I think for me, what I've written here is we need to own our difficult stories so they don't define us. Otherwise, they will own us. And there's a sense that sometimes we can throw our difficult stories away because we think they stop us from being whole, when actually they are a part of who we are. It's a part of being human. This is something Buddha was teaching, that pain is part of human life, as is suffering. And we are just in a time right now where suffering is more prominent, where more people on the planet are in a place of tension and worry and concern. So knowing that our own story is this right now, but it's not our whole story, it's not our whole life. This doesn't define us. I think this is really important to note now, especially as we continue on to the rest of the week, because all the rest of the week's transits involve the sun in Libra, as it's starting to move its way through the cardinal minefield. Now, what we're going to see first off, well, let's come back to the sun itself. The sun is our solar principle. It is where we are ourselves, our unique individual here on the planet, and how we are separate from other people. It's how I see it. We are the heroes or the heroines of our own story. We play that leading role. This is a place where we're conscious and we're able to shine forward. The sun rules Leo. That's the sign it's most comfortable in, but it's also very comfortable in Aries too, of course, because it's the sign of me, of what I want and desire. So now the sun's in the opposite sign from Aries. It's in Libra, and Libra calls for partnerships. It calls for joining together. It calls for where we collaborate and do all those co-words, cooperate and get together, connect. So the sun struggles in this area. It's in what we call its fall. And not only is the sun in its fall right now, but the planet that it's looking to, Venus, which rules Libra, is also in her fall in Virgo right now. So it's almost that sense that the heroine in the story doesn't have anyone on their side, and they have to really look to themselves and their own resources. And as this week continues, what will happen on Wednesday morning at 9:23 a.m., the sun is going to oppose Mars, and then we'll move into what we call besiegement, where it is sitting between malefic planets. And there's a sense that, we're feeling like there's enemies all around. We're in that place where we're either overwhelmed by all the things to do, we can feel besieged by things put upon us, or we can feel besieged by people around us. So there's that sense that we've got nowhere to move. Whatever we do, wherever we place our feet, is going to bring pain or heartache. And I will give you the platitudes, give you the hope, give you the ways to do it. But I also want to acknowledge that this is a painful time, that this is a time when we are feeling grief, we are feeling hopelessness and despair. But as Pema Chodron says, we are the sky. Everything else is just the weather. And remembering that this too shall pass. It doesn't help right now, but when we sit with all of this, when we sit with these hard things, when we sit with these painful parts of ourselves and own our difficult stories, then we're also aware that the other stories that sit in us are the stories of joy, the stories of hope, the stories of courage, the stories of strength. They sit alongside all of this too. So when we own the whole of our stories, and we're in a place where we can remember the good times, remember the times where we were able to do hard things, where we were able to draw on our courage and our strength. It gives us the resilience or the hope that we can get through this too. So if you do feel like you're between a rock and a hard place, or there's nobody around you, I would invite you to see that there are, in this story, the sun can still look to Venus in Virgo, can still look to somebody who is there to help them. I keep thinking in this of Han Solo in Star Wars, when he gets captured by Boba Fett, and his friends who want to help him cannot because Darth Vader's there, and he's used to using all those Libran qualities of charm and of diplomacy to be able to talk his way out of situations, but he can't right now. And so he does get put into carbon, he does get held into place, but he eventually gets helped, he eventually gets saved. And that is because he has formed these strong friendships with people. He's shown up and he's helped and he's been a part of things. And so that is where this lies. You know, Venus is there. She may not be as strong as she would like to be, but she will send for help, or she will get people out there. So turn to your friends. It may just be those you really trust, or it may be family members, whoever in your life you can share with, share out. Because when you keep all of this in and when you contain it within yourself, it exacerbates those feelings of being alone. And also you may think, well, other people are struggling right now too. I don't want to burden them. But the thing is, when we share our stories with each other, it helps each of us unload. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but often there you feel good for helping other people and listening to their story. And by sharing with them, it helps them do the same. So do the good Libra things. Do the things where you connect with others, but in a way that is vulnerable and requires courage to be able to make the most of the energy this week. Perhaps on Sunday, you know, you could get yourself into the sun's rays in some way to help bring this down, because that will be when Saturn is squaring, well, the sun is squaring Saturn. But before that, just to give you the timings and the dates of what the sun will be doing this week. So on Thursday, we've got the sun squaring Pluto. So that's 8:14 p.m. on Thursday night here. And then we've got the new moon happening on the 17th of October here in Australia. It's at 5:31 a.m. in Brisbane. So that's 6:31 a.m. in the rest of the East Coast. And that will be on the 16th of October, the Friday for the rest of the world. Now, it's not your typical new moon, and I've just written an article about it, and I've just done all my new moon workshops. So if you want to understand the best ways to use this new moon, it's not exciting, hopeful, with lots of that going on, but there definitely are ways that you can set intentions and move forward. So you can register for my new moon group via the link in the bio, and there is a live Q&A happening only a few hours after that new moon. So Saturday morning in Australia, Friday afternoon and evening for much of the world. So I hope you can join me for that. And then on Sunday, late at night, we're talking 11:37 p.m. on Sunday night here in Australia. So it's Sunday for the whole world. We do have the sun square Saturn. Now, Saturn's in a much stronger position. You know, it's direct now. It's in its own sign, and it's heading away from the energy of Pluto. So it's feeling a lot stronger. And so the poor old sun's in its fall, and it is like Han Solo, you know, frozen in that carbon. But there is the sense for the sun that once it moves out of this area, once it moves past that, then it's into Scorpio, and it's away from all that cardinal crunch and away from being in the cardinal crunch in its fall. So there is hope beyond this week. One thing is that, you know, to remember that this Mercury retrograde is digging up all the deep things, is digging up all the emotions. So do make sure that Scorpio doesn't skew how you view the week, and it doesn't make mountains out of molehills. Try to use that grounded Venus and Jupiter energy of being, you know, realistic, logical, thinking through things, getting into the details, because that is where it lies. I know for many it feels like if I can just do some action, if I can just, you know, try to do something, I'll feel better about this. And the doing is the feeling, is the sitting and the being. That's the remedy right now. It's actually not doing anything other than being with the emotions that you're feeling at the moment. So please find someone to join with this week. I do always have a few emergency counselling consults available. So, and I'm available in my DMs, of course. So, you know, if you need someone to talk to or connect with, I'm here, and I do offer a sliding scale on my counselling consults. And I just wish you a calm, strengthening week ahead, and looking forward to what's beyond this, especially once we get past Mercury's retrograde, which is around the 3rd of November. Yes, I know it's a big date, and there's a lot that's going to be happening, but we'll get to that next week. So wishing you all a good week ahead.